You're still watching the European round tables, and there are 4 value tracks, and one of the value tracks is the personalized medicine, which was talked about in the session we just had. And we have some persons here who will talk a little bit more about that. And the first before our camera is Bart de Lathouwer from Open Geospatial Consortium. Welcome, Bart.
Hey.
Could you explain to us or to the viewers what the Open Geospatial Consortium is or does? Or
Sure, absolutely. And great to be here with you for the interview. The Open Geospatial Consortium, or OGC, and we like to think that the C stands for cool. We're a collective problem-solving body where we bring together the experts on location and the users of location, and to fulfill our mission of making data and geospatial data fair, findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And in order to do that, we produce open consensus-based standards and best practices on how to implement them. And these open standards are already worldwide in use for policy in the United States, in Europe, in Japan, in all parts of the world. Think of environmental reporting, the INSPIRE directive here in Europe, but also think of Earth observation systems, satellites, that are used in a variety of systems. Think agriculture, smart agriculture, on how these Earth observation systems, how they provide that data, the format, the functions that we use to access them, and how we treat them in the cloud. And so all that is what the members come together, 550 worldwide. Wow. We're very proud to have the academia, the private sector, and the public sector coming together in the OGC on neutral ground. Okay. And so there's you can come to the OGC, ask questions without setting expectations that you're going to buy or sell. It's what we call ourselves as that neutral body. And passionate about everything related to location.
To location. So. Yes, because today one of the topics was the personalized medicine. Yeah. Personalized, we're talking about people. Yeah. Talking about people is talking about privacy. I already heard you say something about the open standards, etc. Yeah. I think there comes a lot of legislation or questions or privacy issues.
The privacy issues do come up. Now they're well covered under current legislation. What we look on is the sister of privacy is what I call ethics. Okay. The ethical use of location. My phone is charging right now, so I can't I can't show it to you right now. But I'm using the iPhone, and each time you launch a new app, is how can we use your location? Is it just once? And so it has become a very hot topic in our industry on the ethical use, the right use, that you as the carrier of the phone can decide how you want to share that information. Yeah. And so
you have to have ownership of your data, of your information, of your location. Actually.
Absolutely, because this is intrinsically something very private. To your initial comment.
But when you're talking about medicine and about threats like the pandemic, like COVID, I have ownership. I can decide whether or not I'd like to share my location. But then I come in a situation where I don't know that I need to share my location. You understand what I'm saying? I can't be asked because there's somebody infected around me, and I don't know. So I cannot actively give access to my location, but I want to be warned.
True. Now that's, I'm not the expert on how to share personalized information. Okay. Let there be no doubt. But it is ultimately something, it's you have to share some information for the good of society. So the COVID app that we have, I'm out of Belgium, you do share, anonymously location. So it's the combination of yourself on location at time that makes it sensitive information. The location itself is totally harmless. Yeah. The individual, most of us are totally harmless.
Most of us, yeah.
If you believe the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that is. And time itself, it's the combination that makes it privacy sensitive. So, But, in health, the location aspect is with COVID has become very relevant. And so we have now an active group in the OGC that is chaired by a medical doctor that sees the essence of bringing in the location aspect into medicine and personalized health.
Yeah. In a session, I heard you give an example about London and the breakout
of cholera outbreak, which initially they thought that it was through aerosols, which wasn't the case at all. It was one pump in London and on Broad Street that was the source of cholera. And by plotting it on a map, John Snow was able to just determine it and remove the handle from the water pump, and so it was inoperable. And so that was
rather important discovery.
It was a very important discovery, and just by putting all that data on a map gave you that insight.
Okay.
I was a previous speaker, and he'll be in your show later on. That called it geomedicine.
Okay.
And so I think that's exactly what we'd like to contribute to. Like we said, we contribute to space, we contribute to health, to agriculture, aviation, you name it. I think health is one of the next ones up. Yeah. That is ripe for
health is the momentum right now. Now everybody is willing to sacrifice their privacy for the better, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So is to share that location information, but not just from a privacy point of view, but also in the wider aspect of how do you navigate a hospital? Yeah. And how do you navigate a hospital for someone that has dementia?
And looking at your field of work, what are the big hurdles, and what would you wish for the future to be different, a call to action? Or
I think we live in gigantically interesting times. There's a data deluge, right? There's so much information that we need to bring together, and the stars are aligning. And now it's how do you seamlessly bring that data together? The statistical data, the location information, the previous, we can all bring that together for decision making in a variety of fields, so that we as a society understand better how we operate amongst ourselves, but also look at this in terms of climate, digital twinning. Yeah. For climate is we need to understand how this Earth works. Yeah. We kind of, somewhat, sort of know how it works, but we need to get better at it in order to find solutions and how we're going to deal with it. It's there, we need to deal with it. Similarly, in the same vein, is severe weather. We had an awful spring. Yeah. I didn't go outside. My vitamin D levels are negative. But it's weather now is getting more severe, and so we need to deal with that as well.
So very complex issues with a lot of different stakeholders and a lot of decentralized information and knowledge, actually. So the big hurdle will be bringing together.
Bring that together, right? So we live in an age where all the data lives in the cloud. We're going to go to an age where it's cloudless. Okay. So where clouds are going to interoperate. That's what we're putting the specifications, we're testing it in our innovation lab. So we create the standard, and then we eat our own dog food to see if it actually works. Okay. And and then if it doesn't work, fix it and go through it again. It really is that interoperability of data. If we cannot have all the data that's coming out there to be interoperable, we're going to waste time, but we're going to waste energy. To yesterday's session, we're wasting energy on computing cycles of transforming data from format A into format B, which...
Yeah, because that's always my statement is that we don't have one cloud. We have so many clouds.
Oh, that's it, right?
It's in the cloud. No, I wish it was in one cloud, but it's in the...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the definition of the cloud, right? It's just someone else's computer. Yeah.
Indeed.
They sit in the cloud. There's major cloud operators, and they come to the OGC. Yeah. The next step is making that cloudless so that, we can interoperate between clouds. Clear. Because there's so much data out there, and you haven't, the increase of data is exponential. Yeah. And it's not going to stop.
No,
It's
no,
going
it's
to
only
keep on
getting
growing.
more.
It's going to more and more. So from that
shift
perspective,
for
it's we live in golden ages.
ages. Yeah, but a challenge to shift the good and useful data from the other data and then use it in a useful way.
Yeah, turn that data into information and then ultimately wisdom.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Well, thank you very much for this
pleasure.
insight, and thank you very much for being here at